So we're just going to go down the line, and each of you can introduce yourself and say what your role is with which film.
Hi, my name is Michael Yazujian. I wrote and directed Detective Dad. I also played the Ghost Warden and the Dark Wizard.
My name is Hamid. You can also call me Fontain, so I go right on directing. I directed and produced Do You Hear That? Did pretty much everything else.
Hi, my name is Aleksandra. I wrote, produced, directed, and acted in Breakfast Movie. And yes, pretty much everything else. But not quite, we have some other crew members here as well.
Of course, but that kind of brings up an interesting question, which is I feel like with any sort of independent film, especially in Philly where there's not like a huge filmmaking scene here, it's always kind of a big undertaking to decide that you want to make a short film and to actually go ahead and do it. So I guess for each of you, the question is just sort of like, how did you come up with the concept for the film, and then what was the process like of getting it made? And I know with Aleksandra, because we showed your previous film, Dinner, which is part of the same universe. Maybe this is a good setting to talk about that whole universe and sort of how this fits into it. How did Breakfast come about?
Sure, thank you. Well, so it's not a sequel, it's the next course. Get it, dinner, called it breakfast. And it's an anthology of short films. This was the second in the universe. We have the next one is in post-production right now, and then we're shooting the next one in October. So there's going to be a lot more courses. But yeah, the idea is that you can watch all of them in any order. So eventually there will be a whole bunch more. And they feature some of the same characters, like if you've seen Dinner, it was all three, the two guys and the girl, played by me. And then in the next ones, we also introduce some other characters, but we always come back to the core people that are kind of the stars of this universe, I guess is the way.
So what's the name of the next film? Is it
We haven't revealed it yet.
a French?
So right now it's just called Dinner Movie 4. We did not skip 3. I swear it's coming at some point, the mythical Dinner Movie 3. But Dinner Movie 4 is the one that's in post right now.
So, Hamid, Fontain, I guess similar question. So, Do You Hear That? I think is really great because it feels a lot like it is part of this sort of tradition of horror films and sort of haunted house films and like spooky ghost films, but it has a very specific kind of character that's all its own. So, how did you decide that you wanted to make this kind of genre film, and how did you go about doing it?
Well, I watch a lot of TV. I really just tried to come up with something different. I didn't really know what the genre was going to be. I've been filming for a while, and the last really big film, well, really big short film I guess I did, was maybe 8 years ago. And believe it or not, I stood directly in this room before. It was Hopes and Fears, Philadelphia. It was a Gullah festival. So I really just wanted to get back into the scene. I got caught up with just being adulting and stuff. So I just wanted to think of something. So I saw it was like a really short film festival. It was just like maybe an online one. And they said they wanted something directed towards horror, so I tried to come up with the best idea I could. I also thought to myself, I wanted to do something with a kid. So luckily my best friend has a son. And we used him. He had never been on film before. It was very different directing him. The story just kind of came with just a couple. I just wanted someone to die by the end. That was just pretty much what I knew I wanted to happen. Just kind of went from there. Production-wise, I wrote the script in maybe 2 days, and I edited it within 4 or 5. Very short timeline to try to get it for the deadline. And it took maybe what was it? Well, to shoot it, it was not that hard. I mean, we used maybe 2 days, tried to shoot at night so it wouldn't be too bright outside. It was fun. It was a fun shoot.
And kind of interesting timing seeing it now after it came out that there's a lot of spooky clowns.
Well, yeah, it's just kind of coming back into Halloween again, so it's kind of perfect.
I guess clowns are always scary, but particularly now it makes sense.
Baby clowns, particularly.
And then Michael, who we should point out is part of the PFS family for more reasons than just presented here. He works at the Roxy Theater down the street, which I did not know when I saw the film. Not nepotism at play. But how did Detective Dad, because obviously that's a very sort of specific, it's like a genre in and of itself. How did that come about?
Well, I guess I came up with the idea for the characters first, and then I was trying to figure out what to do with them, and I had just moved into the house where the whole thing was shot, and part of me has, I've always been attracted to fantasy and sci-fi stories, so I knew that that's the kind of story I wanted to tell, and I also, was thinking practically that it would be much easier if we didn't have to leave the house, if we shoot everything in the house. So that's where I came up with the idea for the prison, so we shoot everything in there, and it was part of the story why they didn't have to leave. So then I started writing this story, and once I had a script, I was looking for filmmakers, and through my friend Corey, I got introduced to this guy, Matt McClanahan, who helped shoot the whole thing and light it and edit, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And all my roommates from the house are also in the movie. Pretty much they're all actors. They made the music for it, so we kind of are like a community of artists who live together.
And so did the whole sort of trajectory of the story come together all at once, or was it sort of a
well, I knew, I kind of wanted to tell a story similar to like an Alice in Wonderland or Wizard of Oz, people getting trapped in some kind of magical world trying to escape. And then once I came up with the idea of the wizard prison, I kind of thought it would be fun to show all the different kind of magic and the different kind of prisoners there, and even get to learn a little bit about each of them. So once I came up with the idea for the wizard prison, I knew I wanted to explore the backstories of all the different wizards a little bit, and that's kind of how the format came out.
Well, cool. So does anybody have any questions or comments for any of the filmmakers, just to start out? No? Okay. Well, Aleksandra, I was wondering, just watching the film, so obviously you direct and write and star in the film. How much of Dylan, which is your character that you play, do you see sort of in yourself, and how much of that is just sort of very much like a character?
Well, the whole reason that I actually started this universe, I started as an actor, and getting out there and auditioning and all of that stuff, I quickly found out that the only roles that I was considered right or like marketable for were like the girlfriend, model, or victim. Just think about that. Like, what kind of message are we sending to women? Like, any women of all ages, but especially young women. If you're tall, blonde, and young, you can only be one certain thing. So that was what inspired me to start my universe, because I grew up doing martial arts, like I do stunts, like I do all of that stuff, but nobody was giving me the chance to do that. So I said, okay, forget it. I'm not waiting for anybody to give me a chance. I'm going to do it myself. So going back to that, I guess Dylan is a lot of me right now. We're going to develop her more as we go along, but in the beginning, yeah, it's like, do I generally like fight demons? Maybe. But otherwise, yeah, I'm also the same way with her. She has a great quality, I think. She can't let other people just be in trouble. She has to help them if she can. And I'm that way a lot, so that's definitely a part of me that I see in her, aside from being blonde and fighting stuff.
Yeah, it's cool. I don't know a huge amount about like the comic book or like that whole scene, but just to see like a female-dominated film, but that's also like very knowing about the usual tropes of that genre, and it's very smart about it, and it's commenting on it at the same time as being very entertaining and very funny. So yeah, I think you should be applauded for that.
Thank you so much.
So Fontain. So back to Do You Hear That? One thing I think that's really interesting about the film is that even though it is a horror film and that there's this death at the end, I feel like the part that I think about when I think of it is the relationship kind of between the male and the female character. And I guess I was just wondering if you could sort of comment on that, about how you sort of wrote that relationship and how that played into the larger sort of horror story.
Well, good question. I wanted there to be some sort of chemistry between a male and a female. I didn't know exactly how I was going to write it at first. I tend to, when I started off filming, I tend to have mostly males in my films. It's just kind of how it happened. You kind of film things with your friends, and it's kind of how it works. works. So I really wanted to make sure a female was in the film. So and I kind of thought about that from the beginning. I wanted kind of every age sort of. So that's why I wanted a kid. I wanted type a female in the video. And I just wanted it to be kind of well-rounded. The chemistry and relationship between them, I really didn't have to invent because they're married. So yeah, they kind of just let that roll. So it's pretty easy for me. And Chris, which is the male in the film, he's my best friend, so he knows how I want things to be when I direct, and so it really made things easy. It was just so fun to have them together, and also try because the female of the video is definitely not an actress whatsoever. She's never been on camera at all, and it was just fun trying to develop her and trying to get her to really feel how she was acting. So.
She was my favorite.
I thought it was a pretty good screen, yeah. I was impressed with the first time I heard it.
Can I just say I love that the woman doesn't die? Because usually it's the woman that dies. I love that you went the other way.
That
is true. That is true.
Working with all kinds of conventions, I think there's a common question.
I'm just wondering, when you look at your films, do you think about what you would change for your next one, like what you've learned and what you want to make certain happens the next time that didn't get into these particular ones?
Oh yeah, it's like you're asking me specifically. So the fun part about this movie is we've screened it just locally. It's not out yet. We actually showed at San Diego Comic-Con not last month, it's no longer August, in July. And that was a different cut. It's a different cut of the film. It was good enough for Comic-Con, but it was not good enough for me, apparently. So I went back, and it was actually, I had another editor who's here today. Hi, Adam. Who put up with me, and his fiance put up with me for probably a good month. Like, we just went back and forth, and we re-edited the whole thing. Not necessarily completely from scratch, but it's what I call my director's cut. But it's kind of hilarious because the director's cut's usually longer than the theatrical version, right? But if we're calling what we showed at Comic-Con the theatrical version, it was 10 minutes longer. So I leave it to me to break conventions again and make the director's cut shorter. So yes, I always want to change things, and sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to let go and just say, okay, it's out and the universe has to be, but sometimes you just can't live with it. And you have to say, okay, I need to do such and such.
This is for Hamed. How old was the little boy?
How old was he?
Yeah.
7. Yeah. So yeah, still kind of young. But to answer your question, if we all are answering it, I think I always, after I make something, and just because this is my last short film, I still have freelance over the years for a lot of different people at events and things. And every time I do a video, I almost always hate it. Like, almost always. I'll do it over maybe 6, 7 times, still hate it. And I'm probably on a deadline, so I have to get it in. And then I'll give it in to them, everyone will love it, and I'm like, yeah, hate it. So I usually go back and look at things that I felt I did wrong, things that I felt I could improve on. I listen to a lot of criticism as well. I like things like we're at today, where people give their honest opinions on things. I've had some critical things pointed out about the video, and I've had good critical things pointed out about the video as well. So I always try to take that in stride and make my next video, my next film. So with that in mind.
That's good.
Michael, do you want to
And
say
Michael?
Yeah, sure. I mean, same pretty much as they said. There are some scenes when I watch it, and it brings me great pain to see them. And there are definitely decisions now I would make differently now, but I can't. So just gotta try to learn from those mistakes and try to improve.
Well, one thing that I really like about Detective Dad is that you do sort of like go for so much, even though there's obviously it's gonna still be low budget and like it's never gonna look like a Michael Bay movie, but it still feels like it's really committed to a story that it wants to tell. And like at some point, everything, like even if you see like strings being pulled, literally, it's still just like part of the experience, which is great. Well, and that is actually one thing I wanted to ask about specifically, is just sort of with the baby. It's Brianne?
Yeah, yes.
Brianne.
Named after the Game of Thrones character, yeah.
Did that pose any sort of technical
Oh yeah, it was a nightmare. And she was, there's actually two Briennes also. I don't know if you noticed, her binky is slightly different.
Yeah. The one drools. You could get the one that drools a little bit.
There was one baby specifically made for when she was in the carrier thing, and then one for when she's not. And then I realized later that was totally unnecessary and did not need to be two of them in the first place. And yeah, she was difficult to work with. There was a lot of times where she was falling apart and had to fix her mid-shoot. Binky popped out a lot. Binky was just like glued in the mouth with nail glue or special glue that they used to dry for like 12 hours. Yeah, so it was definitely difficult. Especially it's the one scene where she's like peeking around the corner and spying on the different wizards. It's like a very quick shot of her just like peeking, but behind that little wall she's peeking is a flight of stairs. So Corey, who's here and plays the baby, was literally lying down on a flight of stairs to like hold the baby, and then since it was a flight of stairs, he kept sliding down, so I just came to the top and grabbed his ankles, and I was holding him by his ankles while he's moving the baby, and then his ankles were starting to get a little sweaty and starting to slip, and it was difficult. Yes.